This is iFIBER 1 News. Here are today's top stories.
State Route 28 near Ephrata reopened Tuesday afternoon after a railroad trestle was struck by an oversized load. A Seattle woman aboard the Amtrak train that crashed Monday spoke about escaping the wreckage. Washington State head coach Mike Leach has agreed to a contract extension through the 2022 season.
The Wenatchee Wild hosted the salmon-armed Silverbacks in their second and third matchup of the season last weekend.
From the iFIBER 1 newsroom, this is iFIBER 1 News, and it starts now.
State Route 28 near Ephrata reopened Tuesday afternoon after a railroad trestle was struck by an oversized load. A semi-truck was carrying a pre-built pump house heading westbound on SR 28 about 8:30 a.m. when the load struck the trestle just north of Neva Lake Road. State Trooper Brian Morris said the driver of the semi-truck was not hurt. Railway officials also responded to inspect the trestle and no structural damage was found. Morris said the pump house was one of 3 on semi-trucks heading west from the Spokane area Tuesday morning. He said the other 2 vehicles took the correct route onto US 2 to avoid the SR 28 trestle. The driver of the pilot car took the 3rd semi-truck along SR 28. Moore said the measuring stick for the pilot car only went up to 14 feet and they had jerry-rigged the stick to reach 16 feet using electrical tape. The extra 2-foot section fell during the drive and the pilot car made it under the 16-foot trestle before their oversized load hit it. The driver of the semi-truck has been cited for an over-height load. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by
Maytag and the family pooch have a lot in common. Both are loyal, both aim to please, and both are tenacious dish cleaners. But only one can sanitize. Maytag, what's inside matters.
Maytag Appliances, now available at more furniture in Ephrata.
Seattle resident Emma Schaefer was enjoying the ride Monday morning as a passenger aboard the inaugural run of the Amtrak Cascade train on her way to visit family in Portland. Then disaster struck when the train lost control and plunged off the Interstate 5 railroad overpass near DuPont. 3 people were confirmed dead in the crash and about 100 others injured and taken to area hospitals. Schaefer says her elbow was hurting, but otherwise she escaped the train wreck unscathed. She talked about her climb to safety.
My car was the one that went off the bridge. Actually, was kind of hanging out in the middle at the 45-degree angle. We climbed over a seat, like there was some debris in the way of the door, like not immediately at the door, but we climbed on the seat and then we climbed around that debris. And then we climbed out onto a train car, on top of the train car that we crashed on top of. And then from there, we climbed down some pipes from a storage container that was nearby.
DuPont Mayor Mike Kortz says Monday's train wreck was a bit of irony for his city.
The city today, ironically, was closed down for emergency management training. We were doing an incident response training session with the entire staff. Today and tomorrow. Immediately walked in, my city administrator grabbed me and said, hey, the train has derailed. Our police and fire are on the scene and we have a mass casualty incident about to occur.
The train, which derailed at 7:40 a.m., caused 2 train cars, each carrying as many as 70 passengers, to plunge onto the freeway. A 3rd rail car was left dangling off the overpass. Several cars and trucks on I-5 were hit by train cars, but motorist injuries were not disclosed Monday. The American Red Cross was on the scene to assist those injured and the families wanting to know their conditions. A trauma center was set up at DuPont City Hall.
This was actually my first time taking Amtrak. Definitely wasn't as scenic as I thought it would be.
All southbound lanes of Interstate 5 are closed south of Joint Base Lewis-McChord, but are expected to reopen sometime Tuesday after the crash is fully investigated by the National Transportation Safety Board. I'm Jeff Chu for iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by
Are your taste buds bored? Well, then bring them to Jay's Teriyaki. Not only does Jay's have a variety of teriyaki dishes, they also offer mouth-watering salads and sides. Call Jay's 509-764-5155. Jay's Teriyaki, located at 123 East Broadway in Moses Lake, because it's all in the sauce.
Washington State head coach Mike Leach has agreed to a contract extension through the 2022 season. WSU President Kirk Schultz announced the new 5-year extension on Tuesday, citing the turnaround for the football program under Leach. Under their revised agreement, Leach's compensation next year will be $3.5 million, $3.75 million in 2019, and $4 million in 2020. Leach will also receive a one-time bonus of $750,000 if he sticks around through the 2020 season. Washington State is also adding an increase of $400,000 to the assistant coaches pool for 2018. In his 6th season, Leach has 38 wins, the second most among any WSU coach during the same span. The Cougars have reached a bowl game in 4 of the last 5 years and have the 3rd most conference wins of any Pac-12 program in the past 3 seasons. This season, Leach has guided the Cougars to a 9-3 record and a trip to the Holiday Bowl against Michigan State on December 28th. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 Sports.
The Wenatchee Wild hosted the Salmon Arm Silverbacks in their 2nd and 3rd matchup of the season last weekend. The two teams met in the beginning of December, Wenatchee taking the win with a 3-point deficit. Being on their home ice seemed to serve the Wild team even better. In the Friday game, Wild goalie was one of the star players, blocking every one of the 23 shot attempts by the Silverbacks. The second game between the teams was a shutout 4-0. In the Saturday game, forwards number 12, 13, and 14 all had 2 goals for the Wild. Weatherby and Morton were deemed stars of the game for their goals and assists. Wenatchee Wild's Austin Park got a chance to goalkeep on Saturday and didn't allow the Silverbacks to score until the last period. With less than a minute to go, Silverback forward Hudson Shandor put only their 2nd point into the goal. The Wenatchee Wild took their 3rd win against the Silverbacks 10-2. The Wenatchee Wild team is off for the holiday weekend, but will play Penticton at the Town Toyota Center December 29th and 30th. I'm Madison Meyer with iFIBER 1 Sports.
This is iFIBER 1 News. For more information on these stories and other news, visit us online at iFiber1.com or check us out on Facebook.